Okay, one thing I've skated over in talking about exchange is money. And again, if you stand back and look at it, it's a very strange thing that you can go and take something like this to a shop, or this, or even just this, and you can get your phones, your apples, your gloves, your bus journeys, whatever you want. And imagine somebody coming from a future society, or from a very society from the distant past. They would say, what is special about these bits of paper? Nothing very interesting to read on them. Not very attractive. What is it about them? So what is money? And Marx's answer to that, in short, is money is the social representation, the representation on the surface of society, in the market operations of society, of abstract labour. Remember, abstract labour is labour considered just as the using up of labour power. So abstract labour is not a description of what you do, or what your friend does, or what this person or that person does, which is all different. It's a description of what is common to the using up of labour power in whatever use, in whatever branch it's directed to by capital. So abstract labour is a substance, a social substance, which is tendentially uniform across society. Now, this doesn't mean that every worker is the same. It doesn't mean that every worker can just move from one job to another without any friction. It's not that I could become a ballet dancer tomorrow if there's a shortage in the ballet dancing industry. All it means is that the pool of labour power is big and flexible enough that if there are people now who are working in fast food cafes who could become ballet dancers, they become ballet dancers, somebody else moves to the fast food place, and if there's nobody wants people to teach maths anymore, then people moves out of maths teaching, and you get a shift all the way through. It's not, but there's a pool which is flexible enough that labour power moves reasonably fluidly from one usage to another, which in fact is, we all know that this is the operational assumption and also goal of the capitalist management of labour. We are all told you have to be multi-skilled. You have to prepare for a life in which you will do a dozen different jobs. You don't have a job for life. If you do have a job for life, it will change enormously in the course of your lifetime. Marx perceives and predicts all this 150 years before it reaches the level we have today. So there's a social substance which is abstract labour, and there's a social substance which is money. How are they connected? And Marx's argument in brief is this: if you take two commodities and you just exchange them, he's not talking about a historical state of art, he's talking about a thought experiment here. For me, who wants the apple, the gloves operate in this exchange not as something to keep my hands warm, but as an embodiment of value, as an embodiment of a certain amount of labour time. And if this, that sort of relationship, that sort of exchange becomes common, that creates a social need to separate commodities into two groups, one of which one group consists of one commodity which functions as a social representative of labour time, and the others function as use values. It's important to be clear, what Marx is not saying is people find barter very laborious and then somebody comes up with a bright idea of finding money. He's saying that as commodity exchange develops, by its logic, it tends to divide commodities into two groups. So apparently in prisoner of war camps, in the Second World War. Commodities, which were basically what you got from the Red Cross, divided into two groups, one of which was cigarettes, and the other one which was everything else. In many societies where you don't have much commodity production, they divide into two groups, one of which is cattle, and the other which is everything else. And the cattle, actually, it's not that you take 3 cows to the shops when you want to buy something. It is that cows become the standard measure of value, used in accounting. So Marx's argument is commodity exchange, as it becomes generalised, tends to divide commodities into two groups, one of which is just one commodity, the other one of which is all the others. The single one, functions in exchange, not primarily as a use value, but as the social approximation of average labour, as a social representation of this substance, abstract labour. And then the question arises of what particular physical form it should take. The precious metals are good for that because you can get a lot of labour time embodied in a small amount. It's durable, you can cut it up into little bits and so on. And at a further stage, you're able, though Marx doesn't discuss this, you're able to replace those physical embodiments of labour time, like gold, with government-backed tokens which are function in society as tokens of so much labour time. And that is Marx's theory of money.